stopped mid-run just to explain sort of what I'm doing here. This is a job shop job, and it happens to be one out of a big piece of delrin, and to do this I need a long end mill, basically an extended end mill. So a while back I got a 3/8 end mill just for fun, but the extended, I think the overall length is 4 inches. I think it has 3/4 of an inch length of cut, but honestly I'm really glad I did it, and it works out good for what I'm doing here. First off, I cut everything to size. Well, these 4 sides, I cut them all to length, and this is just a little bit long out here, the whole overall length, which is the finished length is like 8 inches, so I cut it to 8.5 inches with the bandsaw, and now I'm just going through and cutting it all off and roughing everything out, and then we'll go back through and contour everything. So this is going to be a pretty interesting part just because it's so big. I've never done a really big part like this. It's going to take a while because I would say I'm going pretty conservative because I have a ton of stick out of the tool here, and we're just going to roll with it and see what happens. So I've been watching this thing pretty closely as the program runs through. I didn't have enough tool stick out, so I had to stop the program and adjust the tool stick out. So I have just over 3 inches of stick out on this tool right here, 3/8 inch tool, and like I said, I'm going pretty conservative. So we're getting way down there on this part, and basically the cutting stops right here for this middle part, and then the outside part keeps getting cut. So naturally on the vise I have it hanging over the sides so I can get to it with the cutter and not have to run into the vise. So there you have it. Hopefully that tool stick out doesn't cause any problems. I may have shown this before, but in this case, since I have a whole bunch of tool stick out, I want to make sure this tool is concentric with the spindle. So I have this dial indicator in here, dial test indicator. I'm just seeing where the high spot is on this tool. It looks to be about right there. I learned this trick from the late great Colonel Saunders, and basically you take this screwdriver and put some electrical tape on it and put it right at the base of it and just sort of tap it until it gets to where you want. Before I get too far into this part, I want to do the same thing I did a couple weeks ago, and basically what's that? Feed and speed. So once again, guess feed, speed, and width of cut. 3/8 inch end mill in there, and we're just hogging everything out. And this time I'll just go ahead and mail some stickers out. So sometimes it'll be shirts, sometimes it'll be stickers. So guess that feed and speed, put it in the comments, and I will rate them by a % of error calculation. Basically, I put everything in a spreadsheet and do a % error of each one, and whoever has the lowest total % error for all 3 of those basically wins whatever I'm giving away at that point. So anyway, let's get back into this. another delrin piece down, and this was a little bit harder this time just because it was so big. And I think we'll roll with it. It just looks a lot different from when you see things in a CAD model, and then when you see it in real life, it's either bigger than you thought or smaller than you thought. At least that's how it always happens for me. It's never what you think it is. That's just always how it's played out for me so far. So I'm slowly getting that down where I get an idea for the size of the part that I'm making while it's in the CAD model. And that seems to be the hardest part for me. Luckily, with this one, I got lucky. Well, I sort of planned this out. When the part hangs over the sides, I'm able to come down and buzz around it with the end mill. So that makes things a little bit easier having a smaller vise like this. At some point, I'd like to move up a little bit and get a 6-inch wide vise. This is the 5-inch vise. So it's 5 inches in width this way, whatever you want to call it. And then sometimes I'll use the Carve Smart jaws, and those are 6 inches wide, so it's basically 6-inch jaw. But I'd like to have the capability to flip a vise on its side. I think I'm going to go with the GMT vise. It's one of their premium vices. And it's basically ground on both sides, and that means you can flip it on either side and it'll work. Just so I can flip the vise on its side if I need to and machine apart that way. There's nothing wrong with this one at all. I'm just saying it'd be nice to have one like that. Anyway, enough rambling. I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching.